It's Friday, the 19th of June. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blancolirio channel, and it's time to get an inside view of the world's largest air tanker, Tanker 944, the 747-400 Global SuperTanker. We'll start with a tour by pilot and tour guide Marcos Valdez.
Thing is huge.
Assisting me today is summer intern Kellen Bodine.
Where are we at now, Kellen? I got lost.
Main deck of a 747.
The main deck here. So you come up the staircase, you end up here. You can't get to the cockpit. The cockpit ain't here, but the tanks for the retardant system are back here. You got to go up this ladder right here to get up to the upper deck to get access to the cockpit, and there's still 12 first-class seats upstairs for the crew to crew rest in, and there's still a crew bunk upstairs on the 747 Super Global Tanker. This tanker was originally Japan Airlines and then went through the BCF freighter program at Boeing and served as a freighter for many years before being converted to this air tanker.
Let's forget about the first two tanks for a minute and look at the next 5 tanks down both sides. So the left side, right side, there's tanks that are going a long ways in the aircraft.
Okay.
That's our 2 liquid systems. There's 5 on each side. So 10 tanks total. We carry 19,200 gallons. They're completely separate systems. So we have 9,600 gallons on the left side and 9,600 gallons on the right side. We're filling those right now. But there's 5 of them, and we have to keep pushing that water back because we want to fill all the last 4 tanks go to 100%. The front tank goes to 52%. You'll ask me why, we'll get to that in a little while. So our 19.2 is 4 tanks at 100%, the front tank at 53%, 52.7 or something. That fills us up with the liquid, whether it's retardant or water. Like today we're taking on water. Normally we would take on retardant. All the way in the back of the jet are 8 tanks that go across the back of the jet. Those are for high pressure compressed air.
Gotcha.
We use a ground-based compressor that pulls up to the tail of the aircraft. You may have seen it outside. It looks like the same kind of compressor that they use on the side of the highway when they're doing jackhammers. We upload 185 psi to those 8 tanks, and they're just like a fuel tank. The only reason they're there is to carry air with us. We're just transporting that high pressure air in those 8 tanks. So the way a fuel stop, the way a tanker base turn, what we call a turn or a fill, it happens a lot like a NASCAR pit crew. Two guys run up, to the front of the aircraft, just behind the nose gear, and plug in the 2 retardant lines or high pressure water lines. We start filling that 19,200 gallons. 2 other guys come up to the back of the aircraft with that truck and trailer pulling that compressor. They're going to go in the lower lobe, the aft pit we call it. They'll open that door, hook up the 2 high pressure air lines. So we're taking on water or liquid, or whatever's retardant or water. We're taking on high pressure air from that ground-based compressor. The fuel truck's going to pull in between the number 1 and number 2 engines on the left wing and start taking fuel. So we take fuel every load. This whole dance happens in about 27, 28 minutes.
McClellan Air Force Base is uniquely qualified to quick turn the 747 as they have 2 1,000 gallon per minute pumps, providing 2,000 gallons per minute of retardant flow, plus 4 25,000 gallon retardant tanks and a 5th 25,000 gallon offload tank in the event they need to unload the retardant from one of the tankers. So today the global SuperTanker air crew and ground crew are doing a lot of training, both in the air and on the ground. And right now they're doing a lot of training with the loading of the 747 SuperTanker. So to that end, they've been using water, filling it up, and then they dropped it so they can practice filling it up again. They dropped the water right here on the ramp, just plain old water, so they can continue to practice loading up the SuperTanker, as it's a little bit of a process. Now let's go up into the cockpit and see how this works from the front office. Wow, clean, man. Totally clean.
So the pilot bunk room is in here. Pretty much storage, except when we're heading overseas. If we go to Chile or to Israel or Australia, then obviously we'll take advantage of taking a nap with the extra crew on the way to a long deployment. But we don't really use the bunk room much when we're tactical fighting fire. Feel free to take the captain's seat.
The original Boeing Brown instrument panel here. I'm going to get the briefing from Marcos. I got to say, this panel on the 7.4, I've never been on the 7.4, but I've loads of hours in a 7.5, 7.6. This looks identical to a 7.5, 7.6, except there's 4 of everything instead of 2.
Yours was a half. Yours was half of one of these. Cut this jet in half, it's pretty much the same.
That's just amazing. I mean, I feel right at home at this. Yeah. Huh.
And Boeing's idea was that you could take any Boeing heavy driver and move him to the next aircraft, and his up take time would be very, very low.
Yeah.
The 400 type rating is also an 800 type rating.
400, 800 common type rating, all in the 7.4 series.
The 1, 2, and 3 and the SPs are all the original type rating.
So that is a separate type rating for those.
Yeah, because the 400 is where we lost the flight engineer, and we went to the all-glass cockpit. So the all-glass cockpit and the lack of the flight engineer required a whole new type rating.
Got it. Okay.
And then there's 2 FM radios.
2 FM radios, and
FMs
that's it.
because the firefighting uses FMs versus the Victor radios.
Right.
So other than that, this cockpit is exactly out of the factory. The cool thing about our aircraft, we have no different performance manuals for us because this aircraft thinks of the load as freight.
Yep.
The tanks are freight. The retardant that we put inside those tanks is freight. The air that goes in the tanks is freight. So our aircraft is basically a freighter. We just happen to be carrying a system that allows us to be a firefighting aircraft.
And you're able to operate this aircraft. You're below your max landing weight every time you take off?
Yeah, probably an even better way to look at that is that tactically we're an 870,000 pound aircraft. That's what we can max.
That's your max gross weight.
Our takeoff tactically is right around 650. So we're 220,000 pounds under max takeoff weight when we're tactical. What that does is gives us a huge performance margin.
Right.
Also, about downwind on a takeoff, at about the downwind leg, we're back at landing weight as well.
Already,
so
okay.
A lot of tankers can't land loaded.
Right.
Some tankers have to pick up part of their load. We can land fully loaded because, once again, our aircraft thinks it's freight. We land full of freight, 747s all over the world every single day. This aircraft just thinks of it as a big freight system inside.
So you take fuel on every pit stop every reload, and so how much fuel do you have on board for tactical ops?
Usually 60,000 to 70,000 pounds.
Which in time equates to maybe
No less than 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, no less.
2.5 hours,
Less than that.
Yeah.
70.
But so what's the idea of refueling every time? Just to keep that tactical weight down?
That's exactly right. We want
Okay.
to stay at that landing weight. You have to pay to carry fuel.
Yep.
So when you carry
3%.
extra fuel, you're burning the fuel
Yep.
to carry the fuel.
Mhm.
So it costs you in that respect. The biggest thing is there's a speed limit in the fire traffic area of 150 knots. You can't exceed that inside the fire traffic area.
And that's what you're dropping at.
And we're dropping at that 150 knots.
Yeah.
And our tactical weight puts us to where we're 1.25 VSO at that weight. So that's why we want to stay below that 150 knots when we tack.
Got it.
So there's a lot of reasons that we're not carrying any extra fuel. We're required to carry the 2.5 hours, and that seems to work out pretty well for us.
Now let's check out the drop control panel located where the flight engineer used to sit on earlier models of the 747.
There's some air already put on. They're not putting on a full load of air.
So what do we got on the bottom there, Marcos? That's
This is our liquid levels.
liquid levels in the different tanks?
If you recall, we had 5 tanks on the left,
Uh-huh.
5 tanks on the right. So there's 5 here on the left side, there's 5 on the right side.
Okay.
We're going to get the rest of this panel, we'll talk about in a little while, because
Okay.
we're going to kind of get through this thing. So we take our air, our liquid, and our fuel, and we go flying. So now as we're approaching a fire, we're going to talk to our lead plane pilot. And our lead plane pilot is going to ask us to configure the drop based on the fuel loading that he has out on the fire, dealing with the ground-based firefighters, incident commanders. They're going to decide what kind of coverage level they want.
Yeah.
So coverage level is a gallon of liquid per 100 square feet, which is 10 by 10. So if you measured a 10 foot by 10 foot square in your living room, if you poured 1 gallon in that square, that would be coverage level 1. If you poured 8 gallons in that same 10 by 10 square, 100 square feet, that'd be a coverage level 8. If you look out here and you see this light grass,
Yeah.
this light grass would take a coverage level 1 or a coverage level 2. It's all you're going to need at Retardant to slow that fire down so that the fireman can go out there and kill that fire.
Yep.
I would like to stress at this point that we don't put out fire with Retardant. We lay a line that slows that fire down, and that allows our firemen on the ground to actually extinguish it. So we're a powerful tool to help the firefighters on the ground, but we don't put fire out. Those guys, those heroes on the ground do that. So as we approach, let's say the guy says, the lead plane pilot says, I want to set up for a coverage level 6 and a half a load. We have a third crew member that sits right here where I'm sitting. It's called a drop system operator.
Is that Farina?
That's Farina.
I knew it.
So Farina's panel is here. This is called the drop system panel. So
Yep.
he's got his levels here. That's just indication only. But the way that we set this coverage level up is now we take that high pressure air from the back tanks and we move it to the 2 front tanks downstairs that we hadn't talked about. That's the tanks that were making all that noise.
Yep.
Those are low pressure tanks, and they're called ullage tanks. And their purpose is to push that fluid to the back of the drop tanks. We do that with pressures between 25 and 60 psi. So remember, in the back we're at 185 psi.
Yep.
We're going to move that high pressure air up to the front tanks into low pressure. If I want a coverage level 1 or a coverage level 2, I choose one valve at the back of the drop valves, so the drop tanks. And let me talk a little bit about that. We talked about a left and a right system. At the last tank, the number 5 tank, there are 2 16-inch tubes that come off of both sides for 4 total. So we have 4 drop valves, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Coverage level 1, 2, and 3, we're going to use one valve. We're going to arm one valve and about 25 psi in the front of the system, pushing that pressure back. That's going to give you that coverage level 2 like a light misty rain. If you walked outside, it'd be a very light rain.
And you got there's 4 tubes sticking out the bottom of the aircraft. There's not doors, there's these tubes.
They're tubes, because
Gotcha.
up by the tanks there are drop valves, butterfly valves,
Okay.
16 inches in diameter, 4 of them. So we're going to pick 1, 2, or 4 of those valves to meter the fluid, anywhere between a coverage level 2 all the way up to a coverage level 10-ish. So a coverage level 2 would be 1 valve, low air pressure, and we're pushing it out nice and easy. A coverage level 8 would be all 4 valves at about 60 psi in those front tanks, pushing it out really strong. A very quick analogy, you've played at a pool. There's a really cool toy called a Super Soaker.
Yeah.
It's a water gun that you pump up. If you pump it once or twice, it shoots about 20 feet. If you pump the Super Soaker about 30 or 40 times, it'll shoot all the way across the ramp. It'll shoot 100 feet. We're the world's largest Super Soaker. We vary the pressure, we vary the number of valves, and with those 2 components, plus some altitude and airspeed deviations, we can change our drop to be anywhere from a coverage level 2 all the way up to a coverage level 10.
And where do you set that on the panel here?
These are our drop valve selectors. You'll see DV 2, 4, 1, and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So our drop valves are here. We're going to arm 1, 2, or all 4 of those. We're going to regulate our pressure by arming the pressure regulation valves. We're going to preset a regulated pressure at the top, and then what we call a pre-charge. We actually have some pressure laying on that water to keep it in the back. So the DSO sets all of these parameters. He makes the system ready for a drop. Once we get in the traffic pattern area, the fire traffic area, and we're getting close, we'll ask our DSO to arm the system or to make it hot. He'll take this red guarded switch right here, he'll lift it and he'll arm it. I'm not going to do that here because we got water on the jet and people all around it. But when we arm that, there's a button on either yoke. I'm going to reach up here, I'll take your left index finger, and you feel that little button right there.
Oh yeah, it's right back over there.
Let me have your right index finger.
Right there.
Right in that guarded area, that's the drop button.
So you got your trim button here, your drop button here.
The trim is actually here.
Right, trim here. Autopilot disconnect here.
Microphone inside and outside, so you
Yep,
got
up and down.
Neutral, and then you've got another, that's the drop button.
Drop button over there. All right, cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna dump right in current location, no pressure please, and then we'll fill it back up and do it again.
Okay, so you want an E-dump at the current location?
Yeah, affirmative.
No pressure. Okay, give me a couple minutes to set that up. I want to call my maintenance guy and I'll call you back.
Copy.
So right now they're done working for the day. They're going to purge or clean the system, and they want to clean the system with an emergency dump, an E-dump of water right on the ramps, 19,000 gallons.
You guys are ready for the water dump?
Yeah, all personnel are clear.
Okay, all personnel are clear. I'm going to clear with my maintenance. I'll be right back to tell you when we're ready. Okay, clear for the drop. Ramp 944, confirm we're clear for the drop. Okay, understand, clear for the drop. Tanker 944, drop in 2, 1, bounce open. Bounce open. So we're gravity dumping 19,200 gallons out of the tank.
19,200 gallons of water going down right now. Gravity dropping, but with a little bit of air pressure. Virtually none? Okay. Zero, okay. There she goes. So they're just using 3 of the 4 valves, it looks like.
Yeah, only 3 in the 4.
Gonna get wet. Here comes the water. Time to shower up, boys. That's it. $19,000 gallons. That's about the size of your average backyard swimming pool.
If this was in the air, it would be in just under 14 seconds.
14 seconds in the air with your normal air pressure.
Yeah.
You could emergency drop the entire load.
That's just a standard drop over a fire.
Yeah, covers level 8 is about 8 to 12 seconds.
Oh.
Full load.
We're going to see a flood of water surround us here.
Look right out there, you see it already.
Oh yeah, here it comes. Oh, we just wet the bed big time, boys. Holy smokes. You got it over there too, Kellen? Oh yeah.
Fingers gonna get turned.
You gotta hold that down.
What? Zip time?
Why don't you just hit the E-dump?
Because Flacco doesn't want that valve to be open.
Oh, the E-dump will open all the valves.
Marcos, what's the this will do the same thing that you're doing?
It will not.
Oh.
So the E-dump is going to take all 4 valves and it's going to open them. And it doesn't care if there's power on the system, if there's air on the system. If you hit that button or either of those up there, the E-dumps up there, the difference being is that's a right and a left E-dump. So the DSO can control just one side or the other, whereas this E-dump is placed where everybody can reach it. If we were to lose 2 engines, say we hit a smoke plume and we had 2 engines, if we had rising terrain that we weren't sure we could clear, the first guy to that switch wins.
Okay.
Anybody in the cockpit can hit that, and we're going to drop all the water from both sides. Whereas those E-dumps are a left and a right. Now the difference between that and what I'm doing is that I'm not using valve 1 because we're not wanting to actuate valve 1 right now. Maintenance wants to leave that valve alone. So we're using valves 2, 3, and 4.
So it's
only.
taking additional
So
time.
it's going to take, well, you can see that the right system is draining slowly. And we may not get all the water out of it because we're downhill right now.
Yeah.
The nose is going to benefit.
This drop system is optimized with the relatively high angle of attack while dropping, and is one of the subtle characteristics you'll notice when you deploy the 747 SuperTanker on the fire line. Thanks for your support over on Patreon for the technical aviation content found on this channel. See you here.